What's up, you guys? Welcome to my 31 days of December live streaming challenge. Today is day 4, and I'm going to share some tips with you today around how to have a healthy relationship with food, how to unfuck your brain from all the crap it's been fed about food and diets and restriction and control and all of that stuff. And I'm somebody who, for many years, I had a really bad relationship with food that resulted in eating disorders and just this total diet mindset of needing to control and seeing food as a very bad thing, and like I had to restrict it, and just a lot of issues with my food and the way I saw myself. And one thing I've learned from coming out of that and coaching about over 100 women on this is that our relationship with food is often a direct reflection of our relationship with ourselves. Okay, so what does this mean? Food, at the end of the day, is life, right? Food is life. It's a representation of life, of sustenance, of source, of energy. And if we have a bad relationship with the thing that gives us energy, we literally have a bad relationship with our lives and ourselves. And our society at this point is basically, it's everybody in our society is conditioned to think that being thin is the only way to get self-worth, right? You have to have a certain specific body type, which at this moment in time is some combination of sculpted, lean with the booty and abs. But 10 years was like very stick thin, and then 10 years ago from that was a little bit more curvy, right? Our society's ideals of aesthetics change at different times. And right now, the ideal look is super toned and muscular. And if you're not that, you're made to feel like you're kind of a shitty person, right? And we even go so far as to feel like people who fit that aesthetic ideal have better moral character than people who don't. And we feel like people who aren't that, for some, might not have as much discipline, or we make a lot of assumptions and judgments about people who fit our aesthetic ideals and people who don't. And, I say this from my experience, right? I was in the fitness, I still am technically in the fitness industry, but I was deep in it. I competed in bodybuilding competitions, where your body is literally defined or judged based on how well it fits our aesthetic ideal. And since doing that, and since you're coming out of that cycle of negative thought patterns with my relationship with food and my body, I've realized, obviously how negative it is for everybody to conform to one specific ideal with our bodies. It just, not only is it unhealthy for our minds, but it's not the way humans are meant to live, right? It's like saying that everybody has to be a doctor in order to be successful, or everybody has to be an engineer in order to be successful. It's like this conformist mindset, when in reality, our bodies are all very different, and every single person has a different optimal point at which their body looks and feels the best. This is called your body set point. It's scientifically proven, all of this. And by what it means for your body to look and feel the best for you is different from everybody, right? And if you're not competing in some sort of competition, you probably don't need to walk around with 5% body fat all the time, right? And as women, we need body fat to survive. So finding that healthy balance of what makes your body feel good and what you like feeling, it's probably going to be some combination of feeling strong, feeling energized, not feeling sluggish and lethargic, and having a healthy relationship with food that gets you there. So that's the first thing. We all have a general optimal that is unique to us. For some people, that might be a little bit leaner. For other people, that might be a little bit on the curvier side. For me, my optimal is definitely on the curvier side, right? Like when I was supermodel, I'm not supermodel, but when I was fitness model lean, my body did not feel good. I did not feel good mentally. I was just tired all the time. I just didn't have that much energy. But now that I gained some weight, I have some curves, I feel amazing. My body feels great. And I have a really good relationship with food. So the first thing, we need to stop feeling like somebody else's aesthetic ideal is our aesthetic ideal, because that is literally like saying that I need to be a doctor if I want to be successful, and nothing else but that is true, right? And that's just not true. If you just listened to your heart and followed what you're meant to do, you could be making a lot of money doing something else. You could be a lot happier in your body if you just embraced its unique ideal. So that's the first thing. And the second thing that correlates to this is, we are all born with a sense of what to eat for our bodies, okay? We are born with a sense of intuition around food, and if we are left untethered, if we just remove all the food and diet rules and restrictions that we have placed on ourselves, we will use our intuition to eat according to what makes us feel the best. Okay? And I know this is hard to believe. I know it's like, oh my God, Dee, if I remove all my food rules, I'm just going to eat a bunch of cake all the time and I'm going to get fat. That is not true, okay? If you remove all your food rules, if you really embrace an intuitive eating style, which I teach, and you know, if you don't know anything about nutrition, that's helpful to know before jumping straight into intuitive eating. But most of us, we have a general sense of nutrition, right? We know vegetables are good, protein's good. We know what is a carb, and we know that we need carbs. So if we just get rid of all the food rules and kind of get out of that diet mindset, you'll find that for the most part, your body will regulate, and you will find that, you know what, it doesn't feel good to eat chocolate sundaes all the time. It feels good to give your body vegetables. It feels good to work out, right? The problem is that our society is conditioned to have food everywhere. So it's hard for us to get in tune with our intuition, right? The problem is that most of us are just so out of touch with our intuition because A, food is everywhere, B, emotions, right? We don't have the tools to emotionally cope with our emotions, so instead we eat our emotions. And stress, right? Stress causes us to overeat, to binge eat, to stress eat, all of it. And with all of that going on in the world and our day-to-day lives, like there's no room to even listen to ourselves and our bodies, right? So intuitive eating, if you do it well and if you do it right, you truly can eat what you want when you want it and remove all those food rules and restrictions. But it also has to involve being able to manage your emotions and cope with the stress and have a general awareness of what makes your body feel the best and value yourself enough to prioritize how you feel, right? Value yourself and go into meals saying, like, you know what, I value myself, I want to feel good after this meal, and feeling good means having one slice of cake instead of two, right? And sometimes feeling good might be, I don't want to eat cake today. Sometimes feeling good might be, I want to eat 2 slices of cake today because that's what's going to make me feel the best. And not having that decision be predicated based on, I feel shitty, so I'm going to eat my feelings and eat 2 slices of cake, right? So this is really what intuitive eating involves. It involves removing all the food rules and restrictions, getting out of this diet mentality, and just listening to your body's own hunger cues. Like, we have built-in cues to tell us how much to eat, when to stop, and what types of foods to seek out. And you'll find that when you do this, you have a much better relationship with yourself, right? Remember, our relationship with food is often a direct reflection of our relationship with ourselves. So if we are searching in the pantry at night for cookies and there's something missing and we feel like we just have this insatiable craving and we just need cookies to solve it, oftentimes intuitive eating will teach you to go within and really understand, like, what is it that you're really searching for, right? What are the emotions that you're looking for? You're probably looking for feelings of being supported and being loved and feeling safe and secure that you might not be getting in your life. And that you're looking for that with the food, right? And it's a process of understanding, like, what are you really looking for? What are you really looking for with the food? I know for me, my periods of worst eating habits, worst eating disorders, the most control and restriction and binging were always periods where things in my life were not going well, and so I was taking it out on my relationship with food. One example was a couple years ago when I was in my corporate job that it just wasn't a good fit for me. I was meant to coach and help other women, and doing the Silicon Valley product manager thing was not for me. It was a time where I felt like my life was very controlled and restricted, and I felt trapped, right? I felt trapped, and binging was a way to escape, right? The feelings that I was really looking for were those feelings of freedom and just like release, right? So intuitive eating really, and what I teach for the women I work with, is really helping you get in tune with, like, what are you really looking for with this food, and what unserved needs is it meeting for you. Other times, food and exerting a high degree of restriction over our food can be symptomatic of feeling like our lives are out of control, right? Our lives are out of control, we feel bad about ourselves, and the only thing that kind of gives us meaning and that we feel like we can control is our food, and it makes us feel good on the days that we eat well, and bad on the days that we eat bad. And it's not really an issue about the food. Like, there's no such thing as a good food and a bad food. All food is just nutrients, but it's how we feel about the food and how it makes us feel in our lives to be able to get that little dopamine hit of like, yes, I hit my calories today, or hit my macros, right? But in reality, that's not how humans are meant to live. Humans are meant to live freely. We're not meant to have so much restriction over food. And it's like wearing like a tight belt over your body all day. And I'm talking about ditching all forms of restriction, including counting calories, including counting macros, because when you're doing that, you truly cannot get out of that diet mentality and have a healthy relationship with food when you are counting stuff and tracking stuff all the time. So, where am I going with all this? I have so much to say on this topic. I'm going to be doing a lot of live streams on this over the 31 days. Today, I want to just lay the foundations for you guys. Like, remember that your body does not have to look like somebody else's body in order for you to feel optimal and the best, right? It honestly probably won't, because everybody is unique, just like everybody has unique careers and interests and this and that, right? And the whole notion of everybody conforming to one body is like everybody turning into robots in the world, which to me is like ridiculous. But conformity makes us feel safe, right? It makes us feel like we're part of something bigger than us, and psychologically, we like to feel that sense of belonging that comes with conformity, so that is why we have evolved to do that. But anyway, I digress. Don't conform with your body. And then the second is, remember that you have an innate sense of intuition around eating and food, and intuitive eating, and what I coach on is a matter of peeling back all the conditioning that you've been taught to feel like food is good or bad or this or that, and just learning how to listen to your hunger cues and satiety levels. The last thing that I want to talk to you guys about is your food voices. So fixing your relationship with food, it's a long journey, but one of the first things that I want you to do, and that I do with the women that I work with, is understanding your food voices and understanding like what is your relationship with food now. So we all have food voices. We all have the voices in our head that tell us that we're being good today, or we're being bad today, or we shouldn't eat this, or we should eat that, right? We all have those voices in our head that judge us, that make us feel good, that make us feel bad, or that make us feel like a failure, or that make us feel like shame, like, holy shit, why did I eat that? I feel so ashamed about myself. And we have these, like, these voices are not us, right? These voices, you weren't born with these voices, you learned them over time. A lot of people maybe learn them from their mothers, right? If you grew up in a family where your mom was really talking about her weight all the time, you probably internalized some of that, right? And you took it to be true. Like if you saw your mom restricting her food all the time and she was a role model to you, that's what you take to be true as a kid, right? And so it implanted this voice in you of like judgment about your body and criticism about your body, and feelings of like, I have to restrict or control. And that contributes to your food voices. Other food voices are going to come from social media, right? Social media is such a place of everybody talking about their bodies and like everybody saying shit like, I'm burning it off, or burning off all this food tomorrow, or I haven't earned it yet. I can't eat this because I haven't earned it. And it's like, it's so ridiculous that we perpetuate this mindset that food is something we have to earn. When in reality, it's like, it's totally not. It's like happiness. Like, why would you have to earn happiness? Like, happiness is your birthright, right? So these food voices, you need to figure out, like, what are they saying to you? What are your unique food voices? Everybody's are going to be different. Mine always say stuff, like, even now, after, healing my relationship with food and just having an amazing relationship with food and my body, I still get food voices creeping in, like, oh my gosh, maybe you shouldn't eat that cake. Like, what if you get this? What if you get fat? This and that. And a lot of the time these food voices are fear, right? They're fear voices, like, if you do this, then you are bad. Or they create this false sense of fear. So what are your food voices saying? Like, listen and observe them. Like, create a barrier when you're eating. Like, hear that food police, hear those voices, and realize that they're not you. And every time you hear one of those thoughts, just take it for what it is, right? You have to decide for yourself what is true. And you have to decide for yourself, okay, is it actually true that I'm going to gain weight if I miss my workout today. Is it actually true that I'm going to gain weight if I eat a piece of cake today? Probably not, right? You have to eat a lot to gain weight. And most people, when they do eat at a restaurant and then the scale is heavier, it's just water weight. So, side note. But yeah, like you have to unfuck your brain from these voices that are telling you that things are good or bad or this or that. Because in reality, again, there is no such thing as like a good food or a bad food. Like food is not moral in any way. There is like indulgent food, like we're marketed like that the food is indulgent or sinful or bad, or like there are a lot of diet programs market you on the fact that you can eat sinful foods and still be good, right? But in reality, like there is literally no judgment around food. There is no judgment around food. There are foods with more nutrients and there are foods with less nutrients. And as soon as you start judging a food as like good or bad, it makes you kind of want to eat it more, right? Like restriction just makes you want to eat more, or like to go do that thing, right? It's kind of like if I tell you that one of the examples that I love to use a lot is like Chanel. Like imagine you go into Chanel. Part of the allure is the fact that you can't afford it, right? The fact that you can't afford a Chanel bag kind of makes you want it more, right? If Chanel bags were like 20 bucks, would they really be that exciting? No, right? So it's the same with food. Part of the reason that we crave certain foods or we feel like we need certain foods to release and this and that is because they're off limits. And when we remove that barrier in our heads and we say, you know what, I give myself permission to eat whatever I want, you'll find that it's like the Chanel bag. It's like, okay, I could buy Chanel bags anytime I wanted, but you know, now I'm in control and I get to choose if I really want the bag or not. Okay? So think about this, please. And again, like I know it's hard to believe that if you remove all food rules, you're gonna naturally regulate and feel amazing in your body. But trust me, it is true. Like I really want you to believe this. And it's a process of trusting yourself and learning what works for you, learning what works for your body and what makes you feel the best, and just not being controlled by these food voices that are not even you. They're conditioned by our society. So that's what I wanted to tell you today. Acknowledge your food voices. Recognize that they are not real. They are not you. They are literally just voices that somebody implanted in your head, and that we can peel back and learn how to trust yourself and heal that relationship with food and your body and yourself so that you look amazing and you feel amazing about how you look, okay? So that was my live stream today. Please leave me a comment if you found this helpful. If you do want to work with me around intuitive eating, fixing your relationship with food, send me a message. I'm taking on new clients starting in the next, December 4th. I have a couple of spots left for starting in December or January, which is filling up pretty fast, as you can imagine. Leave a comment if this was helpful, and I will see you guys tomorrow.